In November 1929, thousands of women in southeastern Nigeria picked up no weapons. Yet, they waged one of the boldest battles against colonialism ever recorded in Africa. They were traders, mothers, widows, and warriors. This is not just a riot, it was a revolution. This is the story they never taught you, the Aba Women's War. 1920s, Nigeria was under British colonial rule. The British introduced a new system called indirect rule. Instead of listening to local customs, they imposed warrant chiefs, mostly men, many of whom were corrupt and power-hungry. In many southeastern societies, women had always played a vital role. They held market power, controlled trade routes, and had traditional assemblies like the Umuada and Ndinin. But the British ignored that. The warrant chiefs demanded taxes from men, then began targeting women. That was the breaking point. It was the morning of November 18, 1929, in Oloko, Abia State. A tax collector, Okugo, approached a widow named Nwanyi and demanded that she count her goats, crops, and people. In traditional Igbo society, widows were not taxed. Enraged, Nwanyi shouted back at him. The villagers heard her cries. Within hours, 3 other women joined, then dozens, then hundreds. By the next day, the movement had begun. Women used a tactic known as sitting on a man. They gathered at the houses of warrant chiefs, sang mocking songs, danced aggressively, beat drums, and banged on doors with pestles. It was a public shaming protest, rooted in custom. Entire town squares were filled with women from Oloko, Aba, Umunwanyi, Owerri, Calabar, and other regions. In all, over 10,000 women rose up. They surrounded courts, government offices, and markets. They carried palm fronds and chalked their faces. They marched barefoot but strong, chanting, "We no go gree. We no go gree." The colonial officers didn't know how to respond. They saw the protests as rebellion. Soldiers were deployed to disperse the crowds. In Opobo, Utu Etim Ekpo, Utu Abak, and Aba, British troops opened fire on peaceful protesters. Over 50 women were shot and killed. Hundreds were injured. But their blood planted the seeds of resistance. After the protests, the colonial government was forced to change. Warrant chiefs lost power. Women began to be involved in local governance again. The Aba Women's War became a symbol of bravery and resistance. And though many names are forgotten, history will never erase them. They were Nwanyi. They were mothers. They were fighters. They were the first Nigerian revolutionaries. This was the Aba Women's Riot of 1929. The day 10,000 Nigerian women stood tall against oppression. If this story moved you, subscribe to this channel. More forgotten African stories are coming every week. Echoes of the past. Discover untold history.